So I'm sat there staring at the wall with a haunted gaze, desperately trying to think up a video idea so my subscribers don't fall off and leave me. And the question dawned on me, when was Final Fantasy just showing off? Like times they were clearly doing something to be all la-di-da, they were doing it because they could. Almost like it was making a statement. I'd like to give all of my Patreon subscribers an early shout out for their support in 2017. But 5 times FF was just showing off. Let's do it, let's go, tally-ho! So our first real pick, in no particular order, at 5 is a seemingly modest one from FF6 that most gamers from even my generation and up won't have a real perspective of, and that was the world map. Nintendo had come up with something called Mode 7 for the SNES, allowing the game's backgrounds to be rotated and scaled on a scanline by scanline basis. Now, admittedly, Final Fantasy IV and V had also used Mode 7, but FF6 was the first game to use it this extensively, using more perspective effects and turning the background layer into a 2D horizontal texture map plane, trading height for depth, just to give the fake illusion of flying over what the eye was easily tricked into thinking was 3D. Now, I've no doubt back in the day it was impressive, if I was older than 2 to remember it. And the fact that the FF6 team seems to see this as quite a game accolade, it may explain why the game had such a map-centric opening, and the ending was centered almost entirely around airships and flying over the maps. You just came up with a nifty new trick, Square, and you were showing off. In at number 4 is the incredible Pompa Sancta Parade from FF13. This scene really stood out to me, and although yes, it's a pre-rendered cinematic cutscene, even the biggest of you FF13 dislikers out there can at least agree the visual fidelity of this cutscene stuffed game were amazing to behold, and this parade scene, it came so out of the blue, randomly out of the left field, that it felt like a surprise treat, regaling a mighty or somewhat mythologized piece of world lore when the Cocoon Lassie and Pulse Lassie battled in the great war that first made Vanille contemplate suicide. When one transformed into Ragnarok and the other our beloved Valifor from FF10. The grand display of colours, attention to detail, shadow effects, choreography and some nicely paced face shots. I could have gone Cocoon Racetrack here as well because that was also neato, but the parade was clearly Square's Division 1 staff saying fuck this moody ass dysfunctional team, threw their papers in the air and decided to shoehorn in an excuse to be wonderfully creative, eye-gasming to the audience, I love it. Next up on our showy off journey is FF7's combat gameplay. That comes in next, and well, the reasons are numerous. Being 3D is an obvious first, the panning camera angles, detailed pre-rendered background Square actually bent Sony reluctantly over a barrel to allow them direct access to their hardware rather than the standard API package to achieve. Battle effects and summons that battle directors Fuji and Kintaro believed to be impossible at first. The extra delicious detailed in-game models compared to the deformed field navigation models we were used to that Square, check this, they bought out the entirety of Silicon Graphics Onyx supercomputers for a cool $21 million just to deliver. Ooh, most of the team never even saw this technology that allowed gamers to see FF characters that actually resembled human proportions, and boy did Square shove them right in our face. On top of innovative combat programming, impressive jumps between cinematic, in-game field and battlefield shots, 150 strong staff, which is the largest for any video game up to this point, and bare capital to go in hard. It was all just a big show-off, a big fat mind-blowing show-off. That was awesome. In at number, ooh yeah, I'm going there. FF15 summons. What a spectacle to behold Square made these guys. I think every fan of this franchise's first reaction to seeing their first in-game summon looks something like this. What? They've made him ridiculous again. Holy shit. Fucking, I'm going again. Now before I get all mushy, should there have been more summons? Yep. Should not every single one of them have been spoiled in a trailer? They actually did. And should the conditions under what you could herald them forth have not been so demonstrably shit? Most definitely. But Luminous Engine, it gave us a little taste of what it would later prove in episode Ignis. It's capable of putting on a big show, and the seamless transition, the drawn out intensity, grand spell effects into lingering terrain reaction. Division 2 pulled the astral center stage to the story, and they had to make the summoning more dramatic than it had ever been. It may not have been quantity, but in the small time they deemed our asses thoroughly raped enough to be deserving of their aid, boy were the summons quality. And in at number 1, a pick that only recently I came to appreciate for its brilliance at the time, and that is the opening of FF8. Now before we go any further, can we just note that this is what FF7, this is what their FMVs look like, and this is FF8. Now that is an astonishing jump for 2 years, and technology had come a long way at that period of time, and with the opening, it was just so obvious that Square were using it. You were showing off, it's like you went through a checklist. We had water motion, grass, weather effects, Squall face got fucked, actual hair strands, look at the hair, it's not a block. Don't believe me? Look at this bloody feather. Though none of these features or motion capture mixed with manual animation, none of it was new to FMVs, but FF8 was one of the first to combine all of this so astonishingly well. A dedicated team of 35 people worked tirelessly for what amounted to just over an hour's worth of FMVs, which is an unprecedented number for that time. That can only amount to wanting to show off. And there it is, that's my list of 5 times Final Fantasy gave us a treat, but it was so obvious in that it was a treat. I could have also titled this video 5 random awesome moments I wanted an excuse to talk about, but it didn't roll off the tongue quite as easily. Are there any standout moments for you in the franchise history? Any scenes, any moments where you could tell Square Enix were just trying to star strike your eyes and bamboozle your senses? Let me know in the comment section below. Until the next video, rally ho!